people are on there?
Like 5.
Okay. All right, it is 6:30. I do hereby call this meeting to order of the Swisher City Council. We are here in City Hall on Monday, November 11th at 6:30 p.m. Can you please call roll?
Klein.
Here.
Enoch.
Here.
Pujo.
Here.
Roder. Stagg.
Here.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, public comment. I know some of you are here for agenda items later on, so if you want to wait on that. Otherwise, general public comment. Anything on that, Mallory?
No.
All right, consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Consent agenda passes, thank you. Reports, Sheriff? Anything?
Nothing.
All right,
Nothing other than that.
council have anything for the sheriff's department?
Yeah, just so you can get out of here, when you guys are on patrol, do you guys have something to measure noise level decibels?
That is a good question. I don't have that answer specifically in each individual car. No, but let me check and see.
Like, if you got a call that there's a noise violation, and there would be a city ordinance on certain decibel level, you wouldn't have that in your vehicle typically to measure that.
Typically, no, not patrol vehicles. I do not know if the sheriff's office has one or not. I believe we do, but I will get back to you on that.
Okay. Just checking.
Usually, like most of the time, it's like a safety department or something, or a commission that has the decibel. We have to have them come into our work all the time and, you know, measure decibel levels and stuff like that and be, I don't know.
I just wanted to ask before we got to that line item later.
All right, if nothing else for the sheriff's department, you're free to stay or go, whatever you want.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the engineer, oh, I didn't see you walk in. Do you have anything other than stuff on the agenda?
Just a couple of things. We reviewed a site plan for Joco 380 Business Park Edition. Really, we didn't look at it very hard because it was in area 4 of your fringe area agreement, which basically you waived the right to review those items in your agreement. The sewer project is pretty much shut down for the year now, so not much going to be happening there. The televising project, they completed all the televising of the sewer lines. We've made it through about half of the manholes, inspecting those. So I can tell you they really didn't run into any routes that they had to cut out, things like that to get the camera through. So actually, I think your costs on that are going to come in lower than what the bid was. So we do have a person taking a look at all the video right now, and hopefully sometime this week we'll be able to start putting together a report for you guys. So, the striping project, we still need a stop bar done at Howard and 3rd, and once that's done, then that project can be closed out. The bridges on Swisher View Drive and 3rd were both inspected. Unfortunately, they aren't bad enough at this time to get funding for them, but we'll keep pushing it. The tree removal project was supposed to start in November. It hasn't quite yet. We asked them today what their schedule was, and they were gonna get back to us on that, so.
Okay.
I think everything else is on the agenda.
Are they doing the ones up on Swisher View first?
I don't know if it's first or not, but they're part of the project.
They're part of the project?
That's Waterbury,
Waterbury?
for trees?
Yeah.
This Waterbury properties, they're the ones that are doing it, right?
Yes, I believe so.
John Serbisek and Johnny Serbisek wanted me to thank you guys and Dave Schmidt for coming down and doing their lane and everything. It looks really good. They got it really graded good and drivable, and really happy with it, so let Dave know that too.
Thank you.
Anything else for the engineer?
One thing, when they put the street signs back up, the one out on Howard and Division there, on my corner, they placed it right in where the sidewalk would go out front there.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's where they should have put it. I would think,
We can have them look at, sure, that's no problem.
yeah.
Make a note of that.
What's a rough estimate on, and I know both bridges are very different from one another, but like what's a probable ballpark on replacing the bridge?
What costs?
I don't know.
Gosh, we looked at that, honestly, Cody, a few years ago, we looked at the one in Third, and honestly, I don't remember how much it was. It's gonna be millions, probably, just guessing.
I would
I
guess
could be wrong.
it's considerably, probably more than what it was.
Well, it's gonna be a
Few
much
years
bigger bridge than what is out there now, or
Yeah.
wider. So,
Yeah, because of what's gonna get done with the street, so.
I could look up that estimate.
It's no big, I just want a general ballpark.
Anything else for the engineer? All right, mayor and council, I'll say my remarks for 7. It's council is in.
So,
My resignation.
should move that.
Since council doesn't have anything, let's go with Ion.
The blower is up and running, so it turns out, and I'm glad we discovered this before we started kind of tearing it apart. So electric pump did some blower work for us in Swisher, or Walford, involving a VFD that wasn't working right, and they realized it needed a load reactor for that particular VFD to work with the blowers that we have. Well, you guys have the same exact blowers, so when they discovered that, they went, aha, that's why the one's not working in Swisher either. So got the load reactor installed, it's up and running, everything's fine. So we don't have to do anything with tearing blowers apart like we were thinking we were gonna have to. So all good on there. They're working on getting pump number 2 back and going. We're gonna take the UV system out next week, and it's always through November 15th, so over weekend, we'll take it out next week, no big deal. And then we had a routine inspection on Friday, which was before I had submitted the report. Just standard run-of-the-mill, every so many years the DNR does an inspection. No issues whatsoever on that front. Everything was good at the plant, and I'll get an official report back from the DNR on that, but there should not be anything of note at all that we went through and talked about, so. Other than that, those are the highlights. Questions
Anything
for
for
me?
Ion? Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You got anything? Mallory, I know you have an agenda item, but do you have anything else?
No, just 8 new followers on the Facebook page. The highest post reached at 684 people, but that's pretty much it.
Good. All right, number 7, acceptance of mayor resignation. As you know, I won my election last week, so officially as of tomorrow night at 11:59 PM, I will no longer be your mayor. Just want to say thank you. It has been a huge learning experience. Without doing this, there's no way I could have gone on to the county. But I am very excited to get more small town representation out of the county level. I think it'll make a big difference, not just for Swisher, but all the small towns in our county. I am still around if you need anything, or whoever is going to be taking over. But that's it. Do they need a motion or something?
Motion to accept
Sure.
resignation.
I don't know, I'm asking you.
No, I mean, she's gonna
I'm
resign,
gone.
it's not like you can stop it, so.
Right. So we got a motion,
Second.
thank you. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you, that does carry. Appointment of a new mayor. Consider any written requests. We didn't have any written requests as of today even.
You guys had November 7th as a deadline anyway, didn't you? In the email?
Yeah, but technically, since it has been announced, you could appoint at any
Yeah.
time. So if somebody comes forward in March or in May and says, I'm gonna do it, and you guys agree to it, you can appoint them at that time. But if nobody comes forward, the mayor pro tem legally has to take over. That's his job as mayor pro tem.
Congrats, Mike.
So is he still able to vote on all?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because he's pro tem, so he'll still have a vote. He wouldn't have the mayoral veto powers, but other than that, he signs all the same documents.
So if we don't do an appointment, it'll be on which?
November, November 2025. It'll be on there regardless. Even if you do appoint, it would still have to be up for election. Do they need a motion to appoint him?
Motion to approve.
No, there's no need for anything, unless there was somebody coming
And second
forward.
it, and third it.
Unanimous, thanks, Mike.
Add that to your resume.
You have been, haven't you? He's been mayor pro tem before. Not for this long.
No, not for that long.
All right,
Still get a
moving
vote,
on to the Deegan
Still get a vote.
annexation. I know, people are here for this question. At this time, we have no answer. Until we get an answer on the financials, we can't take the next step. So if you have questions or.
Do we have a timeline on that?
No, sorry.
I might be able to add a little something to that.
Yeah.
We are going to resubmit some paperwork to the county. We worked on it all afternoon today, I guess, based on some news this morning. However, the numbers and the stuff that's being resubmitted changed very little from what was submitted, 2 months ago or whatever, and they just haven't looked at it. So,
That's
And when
the
you
county,
say
Tim.
they, you mean the
Yeah,
county?
county.
Okay.
you know, they could have at least by now reviewed the quantities. If they had questions, get back to us. That's kind of what we were hoping, that a lot of this other stuff could be taken care of. You know, we'll keep pushing, but it's like sometimes pushing a rope with those guys.
Is there somebody that I could call down there and talk to, or?
Just an FYI, the Johnson County Supervisors meet Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. To get on their agenda, you have to submit by Friday morning, I think at 9 a.m. So they have a longer turnaround. If you wanted to speak to the Johnson County Supervisors, that's up to you, but that is their timeframe.
Okay.
Basically, the information we're giving to them is taking out the disputed items for now, which should allow this annexation to move forward. It's just, at that point in time, it's just on them to get their review completed and get it back.
And this is still because it's all tied into that Division Street project?
Correct.
Correct.
We need the
Okay.
county approval in order to take the next step.
This is the only thing we have hanging out there
Yeah.
on that whole project.
And this has been going on for, what, 4 years now?
Yeah.
That would be true, yes.
The timeline.
Well, actually, some of the stuff that just came up didn't come up until now, 4 years later.
Yeah.
So,
So, sorry, I couldn't give you better info, but
we'll resubmit again tomorrow. Hopefully we get some better news, so.
Okay.
you're welcome to stay or whatever you want. It's up to you. I mean, some people think it's fun here. Number 10, the formal complaint that was tabled from the October 28th meeting for the noise ordinance information. Shelley did a lot of research on noise ordinances.
Yeah, so you'd asked me to look at, I know Ely and somebody mentioned Fairfax, and they have nothing in their code of ordinances, code book. What I did find is Walford has something under their chapter 40, public peace. If you've had a chance to review these or have any questions. City of Lisbon has just kind of a vague item under chapter 50, which is under their nuisance code. Also, City of Solon, again, something vague under 50. And then the city attorney did mention that the city of Hiawatha, as you can see, they have an entire chapter that speaks on noise control. And then I did find the same, City of Marion has an entire chapter, which, of course, those are bigger cities and it's very in-depth. So I just wanted to give the council that information on what I found, because that's what you had tabled.
Does Swisher even have the, you know, like where you guys are talking about the very vague one where it says all loud or unusual and unnecessary noises, do we even have that in our?
No.
No.
Then
No,
don't
we
even
just have that
nothing on it.
sentence.
Yeah,
we
the one
read
sentence.
last time.
How about the time? I know most of these were 7 to 10. Do we have time limit on ours?
We have nothing on
Yeah,
ours.
ours.
Yeah, when we looked at last week, or last meeting, it was,
Most are pretty standard, 7 to 10, as far as the noise.
10 to 7.
But we have.
10 PM to 7 AM, and then some do a different weekend hour, and some it's always, so it's kind of
We
up
have,
to
we have
council.
no means of testing it.
Well, that's why I asked the sheriff, so, you
Yeah.
know, like, the decibel thing, I think that's ridiculous on theirs, because that's why I asked him, he's like, no, we can't test it, so that's in there, I think, just for show. By all these
Unless
others,
that
so-
city specifically bought something,
Yeah,
because it's a
send
bigger
someone out.
city.
I guess.
I bet it's set up more for like, industrial and commercial though, where they could be making a lot of noise, like in a you know, or something where they can go out and actually check the decibels. I don't think it's probably geared towards like somebody having their radio playing too loud at a, you know, out in the garage or something like that.
So really, there's not much we can do. I guess we just ask them, try to
Well, as you
use the
remember,
judgment.
in the last meeting, we had talked to our legal counsel, and legal counsel recommended we send a letter. So that is still what legal counsel recommends, that we do send a letter, because we can't do anything in the future without a letter being sent. And then it's up to the council. I don't know if the reason you wanted me to look at what other cities had in their code book is to amend the code to put something in either chapter 40 or 50.
I think if we did something like that, it would be something that's kind of minimal, sort of like some of these other towns are doing.
Yeah, but when they put that in there so vague, that's up to anybody's opinion. I mean, Cody could not think it's that loud, and I could think it's really loud, you know? I mean, so if you're gonna put language in there, you might as well put like language that's
Very specific.
very specific.
But if you're gonna do that too, what you gotta do is somehow be able to go out there and quantify on how much noise, like the decibel levels or whatever.
So I guess my opinion, because we don't have a way to quantify this and say
Right.
this is so many decibels. What I
But-
consider as loud music and what you consider as loud music is probably gonna be a lot different, you know?
Right.
If I'm playing it at 10 o'clock or midnight or whatever I'm doing, if I have people over or if I'm working outside, but I don't think we put anything in the code book because like I see all loud or unusual and unnecessary noises, who's gonna judge that? That's strictly interpretation.
I think the only thing that in my mind would make sense is if we did adopt a noise ordinance. It would basically show times, like from what you're saying, 7 to 10 or whatever. So after a certain time period,
You can't do what though?
well, it would just basically, it would be in general terms, I suppose. But I guess you're right, that's open to interpretation.
Well, the hours aren't, if you wanted to do it from
The hours. would
10 to
be-
7 in the morning or whatever, you wanted to put that in there, but that's the only thing that can't be interpreted differently,
Right,
is time.
but your noise
It would give-
level,
It would give the sheriff's deputies that are driving around at night the ability to stop and ask somebody to turn their music down
But
if
they have
they
that
are having a
ability
big
now.
party.
Like
Yeah.
like I told this story like 10 years ago, I was sitting out in my hot tub, listening to music with like, 2 people out there, and they came up, they're like, hey, you gotta turn your noise down. So to me, even putting the hours in, like, I could see maybe adding the hours, where did I see it, for like, mowing and stuff, but like, do we wanna get that nitpicky on it? I don't. I think if there's an issue and someone in town has an issue, call the police, have the police come over and they can talk to the neighbor or whoever it may be, and it's handled that way. That's how I think it should be handled. So in this situation, if there's a complaint on the noise level at this property, police are called and the police can determine what actions need to be taken, if anything. That's how I view it, but I don't, without us having so many decibels and the sheriff's office saying they can't measure that anyway, like, this isn't gonna be like, call Justin runs over there to sneak
Right,
around and measure
right.
decibels.
Right.
I think the ordinance gives us enough guidance. We got now, I don't think we need to change it.
I mean, this is the first time this has shown up, and
Yeah, so I don't.
has this ever popped up? You've been on council longest.
This is the first time we've had an issue with somebody coming in with a complaint.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I guess I do agree with Daryl. Probably what we have right now is sufficient. But maybe it's something to keep in mind in the future if we start having more and more complaints start coming in. We may have to look at adopting something else.
Yeah, and then just like that song, like, what makes a noise unnecessary?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just looking at a lot of these, like Walford gives times, but decibel limits, that's worthless to me. I think it was Hiawatha had hours you can and can't mow, and
It's very
Yeah,
detailed.
they went into a lot of detail.
when you can use chainsaws, like, yeah, I don't think we have people mowing at 11 o'clock at night.
Not unless they're drunk.
Wake up and have to do it again.
So then, I did put into the code, just for clarification of the council, again, that our zoning code allows for home occupations in the RS zoning district, but the definition of home occupation, does put some limitations on what can and cannot happen, in regard to the home occupation, so,
I don't know that we can monitor that, can we?
of course you can.
Yeah, it's in the
And we
ordinance.
want to, that's my point, I guess. I think, they're citizens of the town, I think, we can leave it up to their discretion as far as I'm concerned. I know you've got, you've had some problems there, but, use your discretion, I think we'll be all right. That work for you? I can't say what the discretion is, but you know what I'm saying?
It'd be different too, like if it was like everybody on his street was up here complaining about, you know what I'm
Well,
saying? If you had like
that's-
5 or 6. I mean, I'm not disregarding her complaint or nothing like that, I'm not saying that, but it'd be different for us if all of a sudden we had the whole street was complaining about. Somebody had their
what I
freaking
would
music
worry more
going
about is once you get a complaint from one neighbor, and then next meeting you got another neighbor from across the
Right,
street or something.
Right,
and
that's
they're
different,
complaining
then
about
it
the
starts
same
becoming
thing.
a problem,
Then it's
but,
gonna be an issue big time.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, when you say use your own discretion, I think, if you read the codes, if you go by the codes, pretty much, you're fine.
Keep in mind what legal counsel said.
Right.
Do you wanna go against the city's lawyer?
No,
No.
I don't.
So
Yeah.
So what would
Same.
happen is if there's a complaint filed and there's an issue there, we would send a letter.
well, there has been a complaint,
Yeah,
and he
so
has
send a
advised
letter.
to send a letter.
But we got nothing to enforce it. When we're gonna enforce it, there's nothing in the ordinance says that they can't do it.
It's not the point of the letter. The point of the letter is to have legal proof that you told the residents what our current ordinance is. Because he can't do anything in the future without that letter have already been sent.
Right.
And it's always very risky to go against your legal counsel.
I agree.
So you guys wanna send a letter?
Yeah. I think we can, because that essentially documents the complaint, right?
And that's all it is.
And that's-
It's here's our current ordinance, and then it's proof that we gave it to
We're not
them.
taking any action.
Meaning, here's our current ordinance on what? What am I sending?
Do you want just the noise? Do you
Am
want
I sending what we
noise
have on
and-
noise,
I
or what
would
we have
send-
in
I would
one
send,
sixty-five?
yeah, I would send chapter 165
Okay.
and what we currently have on notice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, because then the homeowner is seeing-
Notified.
notified of the home occupation as well.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And then if nothing happens in the future, nothing happens in the future,
Yes.
and the letter just stays on file.
But do we know that he violated our ordinance? We
It
don't
doesn't
know that he
matter,
has.
that's
Huh?
not what we're saying.
No, we're
They're
just
not
saying we had
saying
a
that they
complaint
violated.
brought to us, we're addressing the complaint.
And we are saying this is what our current
Right,
ordinance says. We are not saying that they violated it, we are just telling them what the ordinance is.
Okay,
Send a letter, get it guys off your guys' back.
yeah.
Sure, be great.
I motion we send the letter.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Uh,
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, resolution 71 of 2024, approving pay app number 7 from Dave Schmidt Construction in Cedar Rapids for $132,695.50 for work through October 31st on the sanitary sewer project.
Is this is this the same one I'm looking at it where we got the change orders 1, 2, and 3
Yeah,
with a net increase of 30?
yeah, all three, well, you've already approved 1 and 2, so 3 was approved at the last meeting. And this pay app includes that change order, number 3.
We're just
yes.
approving to pay it, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
right, approving pay of work completed through 10/31 of
Right.
24.
Motion to approve pay app.
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Klein,
Aye.
Enoch,
Aye.
Pujol,
Yep.
Stagg,
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Granite parking lot and cost estimate. I know the engineer has put together some information, so we will start with him.
Well, we went ahead and took a look at that lot that you're proposing to rent from Crandick. Oddly enough, it's basically the perfect dimension width-wise for the type of parking lot that you probably would want. You need it 90 feet wide, it's 90 feet wide, so that's good. We put together a little sketch that met the code requirements for green space within it. Also, the handicap spaces that would be required as well. So this little drawing that we're showing right here adds 55 spaces to your parking downtown.
What's that little finger sticking out on the top, right?
Just access.
Yeah, that's to get access to First Street.
Okay.
We were told that you wanted access
Yep.
up there. So it's just kind of blending into that road.
Gotcha.
So down in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a little bit darker space there. That's where the handicap spots are. The majority of the parking lot's seal coat. Those areas need to be asphalt because of ADA.
Is that like a little sidewalk now?
Yeah, I have a sidewalk.
Got a 12-foot sidewalk, or where'd you guys go with?
Probably 5.
5? Okay.
Yeah.
For wheelchair accessible and everything, yeah.
Yeah. So looking at that with 55 spaces, our conceptual estimate is putting that with contingency and engineering at $90,740. You know, if that's too much, we could always downsize the lot, go with fewer spaces if that's the way you want to go. It does include lighting, 3 lights. We just went bare minimum because this is a 5-year lease, so it's basically wooden poles with lights and overhead wiring, underground wiring. So three lights plus the one on the street, on Second Street, plus there's one at the end of First up there. All that would give you sufficient lighting to meet code.
Now, is that done by Alliant then? Puts the lights in, or is that a contractor that we have?
Yeah, it'd be part of your
Contractor.
improvement. You have.
That's what I mean, but we don't have to like have Alliant put it in, is what I'm saying.
No.
It's just regular.
No, they would have to help with the connection to the,
Right.
to their.
To the main box, yeah.
Exactly.
What's
Just so you know, Tim, too,
spots here? These white spaces.
Those are green space. You have to have 10% green space. They can be moved around, right? To help with plowing, but to do a lot like this, 10% of the area is supposed to be green.
Okay.
So you could plant trees in there or whatever you want to do. So, second part of the estimate, I was told you guys wanted kind of a rough guess of what the maintenance over 5 years would be. So we assume that you'd come back out and seal coat it one time over that period. The pavement markings would be redone twice, as well as the symbol and legends. And, you know, with that comes mobilization costs and contingencies. So you're looking roughly over 5 years, in today's dollars, $17,300.
And we could just let pavement markings go away like we did on Main Street.
You could do that.
Why do you only have 20 pavement markings if there's gonna be 55?
It's 20 stations, so that's 200 feet. Or,
Okay.
excuse me, 2,000 feet, excuse me. So every 100 feet is a station.
Is a station, okay, so it's not 20 spots, it's gonna get, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's measured linear foot wise.
Shelley,
Yes,
do we have money?
no, I mean, not in this budget, right?
We are coming up on budget season in a month.
So we wouldn't be able to access this till what, next July?
So Tim, I got a question. In that lease agreement, I believe after 5 years, if they don't want to extend that, we've got to return that back to his.
I haven't seen the agreement.
Yeah, the agreement is on 13.
It's gotta be-
Pull up
do we
the
have to s-
packet.
Will we have to seed that back to grass and tear all that out?
Oh, it's not a grass now.
Well, it's weeds, it's green,
Yeah, it's
we mow it. So,
If you go to 13 in your
Well,
packet,
real quick,
it's in the.
that isn't
agreement.
gonna need a retaining wall or anything? We can just straight level it?
We should be able to, yeah. We're looking at trying to, the issue to us is drainage. You know, when you kind of, well, this is not true paving, it's more closer to paving, so we don't want all that just running out to the street right away. So we would have to do some grading, kind of moving some dirt around to make it all.
Would you guys run tile underneath of it then too? You wouldn't
Not
run-
really, we're running two.
We wouldn't run field tile underneath of that to get it?
There's not as fast as
Okay.
So there would be some grading out there, to change, how the water goes, so.
So in the lease agreement under 10, remove all improvements other than gravel. So the option is still to do gravel other than the handicap parking spots, which might be.
Yeah, I would think that the seal coat to them would be gravel. That would be my guess, is that they would consider that the same as gravel.
What would be the price difference for just gravel besides the handicap spots?
It would take about, the initial construction would take about 13,500 out of it.
I mean, is that something that could be done now until a payment can be budgeted in?
So you guys
If
can't
payments that you didn't need it?
chip seal later.
Good, whatever you wanna do.
Well, when we were talking at the last one, we were saying the gravel wasn't gonna hold up in that thing.
I mean, you would
That's what
have
we just
to
brought up at the last meeting was,
re-gravel.
One of the big issues with gravel too is the way people park.
Yeah, but you have the green space, so it's a little
Yeah, some
more
help.
sectioned off. But yeah, you would have to lay new gravel more frequently because of plowing. I mean, we have gravel at the park, we had gravel out here for a long time.
Can we talk or not?
I just,
Yeah, you guys brought it
let me go over what, I know that Sonia had sent the revisions from Krandick, and so I forwarded those to the city attorney, and we're gonna talk about, what the attorney had spoken about. As far as the lease, term and the 5 years, what he suggested is that if you're doing significant improvements like, you know, the seal coat and asphalt, he would recommend requesting a longer lease. So you're gonna hopefully get your improvements, you know, extended out. There was number 15 where he had stricken the city, Lisi will pay for all utilities. And that
Yeah, I had a
we
question.
talked about the snow removal. He said that he was okay with leaving that.
Why did he strike that?
I think he stopped
Because we
reading
will have-
after we'll pay for utility charges.
But we will have utility charges.
Yeah, right, exactly. So he was okay with leaving that. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so that, and Krandic said that needed to be restored entirely, which the attorney agreed with. Which now is which would stay 18, where it said, it talked about insurance, and Krandic said that they have 3 million, I'm sorry, yeah, right?
They had originally asked you guys for 5 million, but your policy is 3 million,
Right.
and they accepted.
And so
3
they
million.
accepted that, but they will not, waive the,
So the railroad insurance policy
Yeah, the
is just
protective
while work is
liability.
being completed, and then once the work next to
Yep.
railroad tracks is completed, that would be dropped off.
and I did forward that on to the city's insurance, and ICAP does not offer railroad protective. ICAP did bring to the attention of our agent that sometimes some railroads maintain that coverage, and the entity, the city, could buy into it.
We had to, when we did the alley up here, we had to do something for railroad protection.
So we had to buy in from
I
theirs,
don't remember, I'd have to go back and look.
because he also mentioned that we do have,
To take it out.
that ICAP did say that they can have carriers that can offer this type of coverage, and the minimum premium would be,
But I'm thinking it could go on the contractor.
Let her talk.
that the minimum premium could be around $5,000. So if we wanted to do that, we would need to apply for that coverage. I think that was the only thing in this lease that was,
Nikki reminded me that the projects we've done adjacent to the railroad, we've actually put that railroad protection insurance on the contractor to get that. So,
Even better.
okay,
Less paperwork for you?
yeah, great.
Because when Paul did work for you guys and for the city, he had to take it out, and then as soon as he was done, he could get rid of
Cancel
it. Yeah.
When they say back to original, like say we did do this in 5 years, they said they want to do something else with the thing. I know you're thinking that the chip seal wouldn't have to be removed, but what about the cement for the
asphalt product.
the asphalt would have to come out? Okay, that would be part of it too.
They also may not want the connection on the north end either. So that's something that may come back.
And the sidewalk.
How long would the chip seal last?
Normally, you try to get 3 years out of it, if you can. This parking lot won't see the same type of traffic as a street will.
Yeah.
But, you typically try to get 3 years. We've been making it go longer.
I know that you worked your magic and you got 5 years. Was that a ballpark number you had thrown at them and they just accepted?
They had started at 2, I think then they went to 3, and we had asked for longer, and they had extended it to 5. And I think that they felt like 5 was long enough to, we could always ask for longer, but we said that 5 seemed better than where they had started.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Notice in here too, though, they're saying after the 5 years, that then it goes on a month-to-month basis.
Depending on what you renegotiate.
Unless either party wants to terminate this agreement.
Doesn't mean you can't go back to them when it gets close to the
And
end of the 5 years and
renegotiate.
say, hey, can we do a second 5 years? You don't have any plans right now.
Which I would think would happen at that time.
I think they were also under the impression that this was gonna be a gravel parking lot too.
And that is something that we can take back to them and say, is chip sealing gravel to you?
We spoke with Kevin Turka, that owns 5 Star, and couldn't be here, he's in Arizona for the winter, but he wanted me to share his thoughts with you guys. He said, please open the gates and let's get using it. there's, historically was semis going in and out of there, and there should be 3 to 4 foot of rock underneath. And he would like to donate the grading if it's needed, because he would like to see this happen. The parking will help him on a daily basis because he gets general public parking in his lot. And he said his main concern is that someone will get hit by a semi backing into his lot because he has random cars parked in his lot on a daily basis. So that was what he wanted to share with you all.
If he's willing to donate the excavation, that's $10,000.
I think he said grading, and I don't know if that's a different term, but I think grading is a bit
That's a
different
question.
than excavating. Oh, landscaper's right. So I think he meant like just smoothing out some of the area, not like actually digging out areas, but.
And we'd have to excavate some of the area to get down. We're proposing 6 inches of macadam stone, which is a little bit bigger rock, and then capping it off with 2 inches of basically what you see on the river gravel road. And then you'd seal coat that. So there would be like 8 inches, give or take, of excavation, plus whatever level there.
Yeah, I don't know if Kevin was counting on that much. That's a lot of
That is a lot of
grading.
work.
We'd be going down 8 inches through that.
I think what he's saying is there's a lot of rock there, maybe. I'm unaware of it, but because I thought it was grass, but he's saying because of historically what it was, that it was already gravel underneath of what's there. I don't know if you
Could be,
saw that.
I mean, that it's
Tim?
sunk down.
When you walk around, it's kind of hard. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's kind of hard to tell what was there. I've looked at some aerial photos, to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
You can tell where they used to drive back and forth, but this also is encompassing where some of the buildings were.
Sure.
So that wouldn't quite have all that. But if they dig down there in certain areas and they find that there is a good rock base already, then we would probably have them stop at that point. And just, level it off and add to it as needed to. But then on the outer edges where they have we can do that too.
But you surely wouldn't go along with 5 years, right? No,
To
it's not
start.
a lot of money, I think, to stick in for 5 years, and if they, I don't know if they will or not, but I know they can get particular, the lumberyard moved out of there, but,
Well, we do have other business owners here.
yeah, I know, but I'm talking about the cost.
The question,
If we have, if. we
10-year
want-
lease would look
Huh?
better.
right,
What's that?
10-year lease would look
It
better.
would be, because at 5 years, because looking at the cost of build, the maintenance and the rent, we're looking at $120,000 we're spending. And if we gotta tear that up after 5 years, that's gonna cost us some money to remove all that too. We have to haul, excavate all that back out, and we took dirt out, we're gonna fill the dirt back in to meet that.
And like what Shelley said, it's not in our budget this year. I mean, our budget is for, we can discuss it at the next budget, but we didn't, I guarantee you, we didn't plan, you guys didn't plan on 90 extra, or I was on it too, 90 extra thousand in the budget.
No.
I mean, the budget is set for a reason.
Yeah.
but everybody keeps talking about supporting downtown businesses, and this is.
So there's no way we can make it work before July.
No, I mean, you already talked about the park one, and
Yeah.
how much was that, 20-something thousand?
Yeah.
And you tabled that
Yeah.
until budget, so how are you gonna do 90 if you can't do
Yeah.
20?
So we'd be looking at
I think we
next
definitely put it
July.
on the agenda for our budget meeting though. I mean, to at least discuss. I mean, I don't even know if it's in there for the next budget, but at least it should be something that we bring up when we start in December with our meeting. I think we start in December, don't we? January, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, January.
Stuff is due to her in December, so she can write up a.
Right, okay. That's what it was. I couldn't remember what we
How much do
said.
we typically use on road use yearly? Do you remember?
Can we use road
50,000
use
on-
tax on the parking lot?
Yeah, we shoot for 50 on an annual.
Yeah, that's what Tim's been saying all the time.
Just spitballing, like, for how do we make it work in next year's budget? Like, do we cut back on? Because you probably already are looking at like road projects.
We have a pavement
They have-
management.
Yeah. Like, could we cut back on that too?
Maybe you shouldn't pay full price for a building. Maybe you should negotiate. Look at funds differently.
When you guys are talking about putting it in the budget, are you talking about doing the pavement that he suggested or rock?
Well, even if it's rock, it's, what you say, $13,000
Yeah.
less or whatever.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, still, you're talking 75,000.
Yeah.
No,
I think if we're gonna budget for it, we budget for it
The whole thing?
getting done
Yeah.
correctly instead of just graveling. I mean, yeah, cutting off 13.5 off it, I mean, when you're at that number already, do it right instead of graveling, then each year we have to,
re-gravel, trust me, they
Rake
do it
it.
the same way.
yeah, rake out the gravel out of everything.
It would look like it's this parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, with the county looking at bringing, an actual train into Johnson County, they are not looking to connect it to Cedar Rapids yet. But they do eventually want to. So the county supervisors have been working on this for about maybe 2 years to bring a pedestrian train to the North Liberty, Coralville, Iowa City area. See how that goes, and then they have been in discussion with Cedar Rapids to connect up to Cedar Rapids to get people from there down to there. Last I heard, they were still discussing it, they haven't made a decision, but they are getting close to the point where they do need to make a decision because they either need to stop the research or fund it. If they connect to Cedar Rapids, from what I understand, it won't be for quite a few years, because they need to see what the cost is to run it in the metro area, what the population is that would be using it, and all that kind of stuff. So in 5 years, they may not be up to Cedar Rapids, depending on what Frantic negotiates with them. You kind of never know, because their goal is to eventually connect with the airport. So, in 5 years, if Johnson County is like, no, we're not gonna expand it, I bet you they will renew that contract because they have nothing to do with that land. And they'll be like, yeah, if Johnson County's not gonna come up here, we got nothing to do with this railroad and extend it. And they'll probably keep doing that until there is a pedestrian train. It could be maybe a decade or two.
Thank you.
That's a lot of ifs, I mean, especially with our county and with the way the cities work together, there's a lot of ifs there.
So just be aware that is what the county is looking at doing currently.
I have a question, and this is kind of a question brought up by Kevin. If you did just open the gates, as it is right now, what would be the liability?
That's private property and they could come.
No, I mean, if you guys decided to take the lease, but not to go into heavy maintenance on it right away, to see if there is a rock base, and if people could start like parking it in their.
I think we'd be liable for, if we didn't make it into a parking lot, like per se, or whatever, I think we'd be very liable damaging a whole bunch of their property if we just leave it as, I mean, you know how people are, I mean, parking and, I mean, it could be
You
all
would
kinds of
have to
idiot.
go back to Krandick and ask them if they would even allow that,
Right,
because they may say absolutely not.
Well, nothing could
So-
be done until next year anyway, we're going into winter, right? So if we enter in a lease, we know we can't do anything for a while. It's not gonna happen next month. When does the budget come out? January?
We'll start working on it in January, it's not approved until
We wouldn't be
April,
able to
March, April,
take
March,
it,
April.
start building until July 1st. But we could get quotes and stuff to start a project in July, in theory, correct?
Correct. The only thing you'd have to front is the engineering.
Because it sounds like, I mean, I haven't been a part of this for 5 years, but we've been working on it for a long time. This is as close as you've gotten. There's no other options here. And you guys even purchased a building. What are you gonna do with that building? You need parking, no matter what you put in there. there's no parking anywhere. It's not just for us, it's for everybody.
I think we should go ahead with the project and budget. When I say go ahead, obviously talk about it during budget, find a way to budget for it for next year. Put in quotes so that we can hopefully start this project July 1st.
What do we do
Yeah.
about the lease until then though? Because I don't know how long they're gonna sit and wait for us to give them a final answer.
Yeah.
I don't see them sitting and waiting for us till July.
Can't we do the lease now though with the anticipation that would start July 1st? The making of the parking lot?
Well, it's gotta be approved by all of us on the budget though. I
know.
mean, just because we say we're gonna bring it up doesn't mean we're gonna, I mean, we're also we're also asking to come up with $90,000 out of the budget. But every year, while we're all sitting here cutting this and cutting that and cutting this, and Tim's always wanting more than 50. I mean, he's like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the
does keep
minimum we
asking
give
for more.
for roads. Not in a bad way, Tim, I'm just saying, you know that there's a lot more.
Yeah, we're not to that point yet with the budget.
That's what I mean,
We're
yeah.
gonna figure
I mean, we can
anything
bring it
out.
up at the budget,
Yeah,
but we can't make any promises that it's gonna get, that we're gonna have the money there.
that's true. That's true. And we may be even squeeze more this year.
Right, like
Than we were last.
Julie was saying, like the numbers going down, that we're getting less out of the county or whatever, something wasn't it? State, yeah. I mean, so we got a budget for that too, that we're not gonna get as much as we did before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we don't want to do it, but it's like, I mean, I want $100,000 more put on my house too, but I can't do it. You gotta have the money to do it. This is like a discussion that needs to be taken when we're all sitting around here for 3, 4, 5 meetings going over budget.
Yeah. That'll all be in January.
That's what I mean.
But this, like we're talking here, this could be one of the items that's on that list. That's an extra item that we're gonna try and put into that budget.
But if you want to give direction to wait until budget season, you could still go back to Krandick and ask a couple questions. You could say, is chip sealing the same as gravel in your mind, and know that ahead of time. You could also ask, I know you said 5 years, but could we get longer and have that information ready for budget season in January? So you could still keep working on this if you wanted to.
As far as timing goes, say we go back to them and talk to them about this, and then the timing as far as when this lease would be put out, activated, yeah.
Yeah.
And how quickly we'd have to, okay, we're talking what, June or July or whatever for action.
I know they may not wanna wait till July, but they may wait till January to
Right,
budget.
I mean, budgeting is just in January, you can contact them
Yeah, we
to
can ask.
ask if
We're not
they'd
that far
extend.
away.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Plus, if they don't have any plans for it right now, I wouldn't see them fighting too much to extend the lease out. I mean, to extend the offer of the lease out. I mean, they're not doing anything with it right now. They haven't done anything with it for years. I mean, if Krandick's agreeing to this lease right now, I don't see why they wouldn't say, yeah, we'll wait till you guys decide for sure.
And maybe to share the plan that the city has for it and what the city's,
What it's gonna
what the
look like
estimate
and-
for costs that the city's putting in for improvements, maybe that would, help to sway them to extend it.
We don't want it to just be a giant mud hole. We wanna take care of their property.
Yeah.
Is that the direction you guys wanna go?
I think so.
It's the only
Go back to
direction we can
Krandick
go.
with our questions and then talk about it at budget?
It's the only direction we can go, isn't it?
So you approve your budget in March, correct?
Well, they work on it in January, so it's mostly set,
Yeah,
but then
the
there's
end of March, it's gotta be certified.
the legal
Okay.
steps.
What we have done in the past is we've put projects out for bid, started construction in June. Because you're not gonna be making your first payment to the contractors until July. So typically you could move it up a month to help you with that.
In June.
Right, make your first payment, first week, first meeting in July.
And you guys would know in March if it's gonna be a viable cost.
I think going to Crandall and telling them, we're trying to make this work. Construction would start in June. They might be receptive.
So if you don't have the money in the budget, what is your proposition for how you're actually gonna help support your businesses? Because to what you guys just said a few minutes ago to the folks right here, that if you had the whole street in here complaining, you now have a pretty hefty representation of business owners in downtown who are saying this has been an ongoing problem. So what's the proposition if there's no money in the budget? Are you guys gonna like start a fundraising project that you support your businesses in town? How's council gonna get involved in that?
No, I'm not starting a fundraising project.
She's asking a valid question.
She is.
You guys have been saying for years you wanna support the businesses, but you're not supporting businesses. These are your businesses coming forward to talk to you guys as elected officials.
We're holding you accountable. Because we've spent our money to do business in this town.
You realize we've got other people that are paying for this, and we've got to be careful how much money we spend. We're not spending our money, we're spending the citizens.
I'm well aware of that, Daryl. I've sat in that chair for 8
Well, what was
years.
your answer then of what you're gonna do to support it then?
Well, I would try to come up with some.
Would you?
I don't have any ideas. I'm being honest with you. I do
So
not have an
how,
idea.
so what's gonna change about that?
I don't know. We're
You
gonna
just got nothing going forward? Nobody has anything? So we just keep coming back and nothing ever happens?
I think tonight, from what the discussion was up here on the council, and we're pretty much talking about when the budget sessions come up in January, we're gonna fit this in somehow.
Well, I'm sure Shelley will have it on the agenda. for-
Yeah, it'll be a
Now-
discussion item and up to you.
What's really being questioned among us is, okay, if we budget for this in order to do this project, where's the hits gonna come from in order to do that?
The roads that all the
And right
homeowners.
now, that's a question mark, because nobody knows until we actually sit down and start going through budget.
See, we've known
You know
about this
that as
earlier,
well
we
as
could
I
work
do.
on it.
I am,
There's a
I'm
lot-
aware of that,
there's
but
a lot of
what
give and
keeps
take.
happening is it doesn't get budgeted for. And we're sitting in this position again.
This is the
'Cause
first
this
time
has
we've
been
had this
ongoing.
approach to us.
No one talked to
No,
us
it's
about that.
not.
Somebody said
No,
in the
it's not.
parking lot.
This parking lot? When was?
No, because we came, how long ago? 2016? That we approached the city council first?
I thought you
And it
guys
was an
said
astronomical
Brandon
amount. It was like
didn't have anything to
$6,000.
do with
That's why the work that they've done on this is so
And
great.
their number was quite a bit higher for the lease.
I think it was 1,500 a month.
Yeah, it was a considerable.
Okay, I was thinking you guys said the Crandall didn't have any interest in it at all.
No, they had come back and then they
years.
wouldn't, then they wouldn't
Okay,
talk to us
few years.
anymore after we told them.
So that's the historic record, that this was visited a long time ago.
There was a
And-
building there in 2016.
There was still a lot, and they were still open to it.
But they
And
were-
we're still here 8 years later, and there has been no progress whatsoever. So what I'm saying is, do we just need to come back then in April for every meeting again to figure out how to start on something else?
Budget
Or-
meetings are all open to the public
Right. No, I mean, so if
in January.
it doesn't get budgeted for, is that just the next thing, is that we just keep coming back and asking for new ways to do that?
Budget meetings happen in January and they are open to the public, so coming in January while they're having their discussion is how you get into the budget. Everything after that tends to become all the legal steps. So keep that in mind. I can't tell you what to do, but that's the way it works.
Rebecca knows, she said, she knows that you guys discussed it in January.
So
Are you gonna ask Anya to go back and talk to them about the lease, when it could be executed, and what the latest date could be that it could be executed?
yeah, that and see if they will extend it beyond 5 years.
Yeah, that's.
They'll give us more, that would be
Leave it.
awesome.
And if the chip and seal is considered rock, and if you have to remove the chip and seal.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, 5 years extension wouldn't bother me that much, but something to ask them, just tell them that was discussed. It's not a real big issue with me, but just gonna,
So what, it's
working
10
with
years, chip and seal considered rock, and what was the other thing?
How long will they let us wait to start the lease?
Like July is the
Or June, well,
purging estimated.
and that's
Yeah.
sharing what the plan would be, that we would have to budget it for next budget season. But we'd be talking about it in January, I mean, a decision would be made by February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like
100%.
3 or 4
But we
meetings.
The
run
budget
on-
wouldn't be approved, but we would know whether or not it's budgeted in.
Right.
Since we run on fiscal
Possibly,
year,
I mean,
we
if
can't
you're,
do it.
if you're tight on budget, you might need to go a couple extra meetings.
You could phase this parking lot too.
I was gonna ask that, like if we did a quarter of it.
55 have to be done at once.
Right, because we don't probably need 55 right away.
I'll take one to 275.
I think the
Well-
biggest excitement was being able to connect to first for all the times we have to
Really
shut
not
down
City
second.
Hall.
And still get into park. So,
The only time second completely shuts, second up there never shuts.
during
Just the
the
car show would be the only time.
car show
But the car show would
and
use
the
that,
winter
whatever they
parade.
have as parking.
The
for
winter
car
parade
show.
only shuts right there just when the parade happens,
Yeah.
just that 20-minute time frame.
So we can still get in ahead of time.
Yeah, there's parking.
So
Crazy all the time.
is it possible for you to do a probable cost of a phase project, like a 2-year budgeted project?
Sure.
2 or 3.
Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, when you're talking 55 spots, I would think it's 2. I mean, if we're talking just adding like 15 spots, how many do we add by restriping it? 12 or 13?
Tim, the first ones would have to be the handicap though, right? In either phase, it'd have to, if we went 2 or 3 phases, you'd have to
would
put the
probably work
handicap.
from the south. to the
Yeah.
north, yeah. We do have a layout that moves kind of the green space around. There's a spot that we kind of put in the middle. You could get about, if we went to that, it would be 30 spaces. So it'd be just a shade more than half.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a good cutoff point too.
It would make sense for expansion, so.
I mean, personally, for me, I think that lot looks terrible, for one. I think putting a parking lot makes downtown district look a lot better, for starters. I think we look at it, you know, just see what a 2-phase project would be, to eventually connect it to first. Crandall does say 5. I'm fine with it, because if you want my opinion, I don't think the Crandall does a single thing with that lot in the next 30 years.
I don't either.
I think
The
they're,
only way they're gonna is like if she says and I don't see.
I don't think that would be ready in 5 years.
No,
Run
like,
that line up
to me,
there.
like, that sounds all good in theory, but I still don't, I just don't see it happening. I'm not worried about tearing that up, because I don't think we're ever gonna, I mean, I think we can have that lease for a long time, especially when it's basically free money coming into Crandall. So you, like I said, I wanna do it once right, not just patchwork it. So I think trying to do a 2-phase project, or 3 if needed, if it comes out, screw it, but you do 3, you're getting into mobilization every time, and there's a lot of costs that keep coming in.
3 years of increasing.
would there be an issue about 2 ways in and out if you just went halfway? 'Cause the plan called 2 was you have an entrance and exit, or were you gonna have 2 entrances? How was it laid out?
I think at this point, if we just went halfway, we were looking at just going with 1 entrance.
Is it wide enough to,
Off of Second.
Up a second.
yeah, so you wouldn't need it going to the north there.
Unless you
Yeah.
wanted to, we could just do a lane up there if
I
that's
just
what you
wanted
wanted to.
For convenience.
Something we could talk about. Going back to your passenger train thing, I did a lot of work with Corville for about 20 years, and they talked about that passenger train since 2003.
Yeah,
And
did you
so-
know the supervisors have been going out to the East Coast to meet with
Yeah.
the company that's bringing it?
And it would require replacing, well, at least they were discussing back then, the type of track would all have to change, all the way up.
That I haven't heard.
I was gonna say, there'd be a lot of upgrades to do and everything to that rail
So
line.
you're looking at something much longer than 5 years.
Critics said the same thing, their track is not a passenger track, and they would have to have someone pay for it to do it, because they're not going to, is what it said.
It sounds good in theory, it's not gonna happen.
So it'd be nice if it does.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people want it to happen, like you're saying.
Great to get to the airport.
But it's gonna be
primarily.
a long time.
Yeah. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that's what's going on in the county.
Okay.
All right, I think we have talked this through. We have our organization and our next steps, so let's move on to 14. Structural engineer comments for the 122 Rose Avenue.
Which one are you on?
14.
14, okay, sorry.
So, we had our structural engineer come down and take a look at the building based on the original building inspector's recommendation. Primarily, they wanted us to look at the attic and roof. Let's put it this way, I was off of work and I got a phone call from him standing up there. He had major concerns about the roof. So, as you read through here, he's made a lot of observations. That was about what he could do in the time that he had allotted. If he wanted something more detailed, he said it could take 2 days to go through all that. So he just was very concerned about the roof. So,
Now, I read through this here, now that ceiling, that's flat roof that on the original building. They just set it on
They
the,
just put rafters over the top of it.
That's what it
yeah,
appears.
they didn't throw that old flat roof off, did they?
It doesn't sound like it. I haven't been up there, but that's not what, yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I've got pictures of it. The thing was built in early 1900s, and you can tell it's the same building yet. The original, the west one, that's the original building. I remember that as a kid, that was,
Okay.
and reading through this, we could never, I guess my question is, if we did complete this and we decided to go with the city hall and library, to make that compliant with all the regulations for a public building, where would we start?
But you'd want to get it, you'd have to get a contractor involved,
But-
and then.
But because you've got a foundation at the northwest corner, I think there's a real problem.
Yeah, you'd have to dig down and fix that too.
And the hip roof, or gable roof is just sitting on the flat roof, it's not locked down, is it?
Doesn't sound like it, no. So, yeah, you'd probably have to tear the roof off,
Yep,
Fix the foundation
fix foundation.
just to get.
'cause that's original floor in that.
That's where I was, when I kept bringing up an appraisal on this building, and I know you guys are telling me we don't need to get an appraisal because we're not borrowing money. But anything looking at this report from a structural engineer, I would be getting an appraisal on this building. There is nobody in their right mind would buy a house that didn't get an appraisal, whether they were paying $300,000 for it out of their pocket or not. And I don't agree with not getting an appraisal on this building. We don't know, I mean, we can say that $275,000 is a great deal. I have no clue. I'm not an assessor, I'm not an appraiser, I'm not, nothing like that.
An appraiser wouldn't know any structural engineering things.
They would be able to give you an appraisal on a building. If you're going to buy a building from somebody or a house from somebody, you get an appraiser to look at it.
But they'd have to do this, what they recommend, they have to get an engineer to,
Exactly, but I mean,
yeah.
I can't tell you it's worth $275,000. Can anybody here tell you that?
Yeah, there's the issue about where it says it's impossible to predict the severity of the damage without excavating down to sound masonry. I think that was the northwest corner you're talking about.
That was originally pointed out by your building inspector.
Yeah.
He thought maybe it just needed to be plowed as it can.
Yeah.
But once the engineer looked at it, it's gonna be a little more.
And when concerning some of the braces, they're scabbed together, you have 2x4s. That would never pass inspection. And then some of the beams were spliced together, and I don't know where you'd start on that building.
Tim, would you ever suggest to somebody to buy a building that wasn't appraised? I'm just asking, I mean, that's a fair question, I mean.
He knows what the answer is.
It's out of my realm. How about that?
That's the answer then.
When I have to do purchasing of right of way and stuff for projects, we always have to do appraisals. and review appraisal and
Yes.
stuff like that. But, you know, I don't know what the city laws are with respect to buildings like this, so.
I don't even care about the rules, I'm talking about good practice for the citizens that we represent, is that, how do we know that we're gonna spend $275,000 of the city's money, and we bought something that was worth 150, I'm just using these numbers, I'm not
Well,
saying.
the engineer can't advise us things like that.
I know, I'm saying this to you guys, to the council. I'm saying, I have a hard time spending the city's money on something that we don't know whether we're paying double for it, or we're getting a great deal on it. We don't know that to make this into a city hall and, city library, that we're gonna have another $500,000 and we're gonna have it in our budget sometime to do it. We're always talking about how tight we are in budget, we're just telling these guys we're tight on budget, and now we're gonna say that, hey, we're gonna go spend $275,000 of the city's money, not my money, not your money, not anybody's money here, it's the city's money. And we don't know we don't know what we're getting into. There's so many unknowns. To make that up to city code, to make it a city hall and a city library, it's a lot more money than just me and Cody deciding to open up a machine shop in there and.
Well, I can tell you from a lending standpoint, you'd never get a loan on that building without appraisal.
Yeah, I know we don't have to, but
No, I'm just
in
telling you,
good conscience.
from a lending standpoint, you would never get a loan on it, building.
The appraisal would give you comps. You
Yeah,
know,
that's-
comparables.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
They wouldn't give you the structure of what you have done here.
Right.
Yeah, and you get the comp, and then you'd have to figure out.
And you couldn't find a comp for that building. Probably in the area,
No, probably not.
no. So, you know, appraisal really isn't gonna do it, you know. it'd be-
What does council wanna do?
So it was written into the agreement that a structural, subject to a structural engineer giving, you guys can still pull out of this.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm kind of leaning to. And a lot of that has to do with this report. Because once we were over there, we went through the building, we seen certain things too. And things were questionable. But that's why we went through this process. I mean, initially,
And that is why, like Mike's saying, that is why you guys we put it in there pending
yes.
structural inspection.
Yes. And you're right, as far as appraisals go, yeah, we probably should be looking to get appraisals on properties if we're gonna purchase properties or what have you. But this to me was kind of a step, if you will, to kind of get the structural integrity of the building and what would need to be upgraded or fixed in there or what have you. And to me, it seems like it's an awful lot. It'd be a lot for the city to take on.
Do we have any idea of probable cost to fix these things?
You'd have to get down the footings and all that.
Yeah, but as far as the roof and stuff, you have to
Guessing
talk to a
not cheap.
contractor.
Yeah,
So
we haven't really gone to that step, if we even want to.
I'm a little confused on some of this bracing too, the uprights, somewhere from 4 foot to 7 or 11 foot apart. Normally, don't they go even them out?
Yeah.
I think that's what you know.
So what does council wanna do? You have the option to keep moving forward or to not.
I think most we don't go forward.
I second.
It needs to be in the positive. Remember, you make motions in the positive so people understand how they are voting.
So you have a motion to,
Move forward,
No.
and then you can vote against it,
Oh,
because that would be up to me.
we're just gonna, if you don't wanna, move
actually, I don't think
forward.
that's right in this situation,
this
because
situation.
you're making a motion to actually withdraw
Terminate,
from
yeah, withdraw your
the purchase agreement.
offer.
Yeah.
Then word it that way, then
That's what I was
say,
making a motion to.
motion to terminate the purchase agreement.
You did have subject to
Yeah,
inspection.
it was in
Right.
there,
You have the
Shelley had it
ability
in
to
there.
do
Yeah.
this, but you still need a motion.
Yeah, that's what, I make a motion that we withdraw our offer.
Okay.
Based on the engineering report we got.
All those in favor of the withdrawal?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we will withdraw that.
So I have a question on that. If you guys last meeting said that you're gonna move a bond to purchase that building, couldn't you use that for the parking?
Potentially, there's some other things going on with the bond right now that we have to get settled before we can touch any of that money. So, once that's all settled, yes, they could look at the extra money there too.
Does that have a timeline?
We would get it
No,
on
that's the
a,
county stuff.
we'd get it on a future agenda and have to designate.
Will that automatically trigger an agenda item?
Yeah.
When you
Well,
guys hear
it's
back from that could be part of consideration?
I gotta talk to our bonding attorney because there were proceedings tonight, so we'll want to make sure we have to go through the setting up public hearing change.
Legal stuff.
Because this resolution was written specifically for purchasing that building, so we'll have to.
Yep.
We'll have to get the proceedings changed.
I'm just
And that's
asking
gonna
if
go
it
to
would
legal
trigger
first.
coming back to the agenda with that included, or if like we would need to come back and say, hey, now that that's been settled, can that be considered for this? Like, would that be before budget time, or would that be? That
Rebecca,
could take forever.
are you talking about the parking or the building?
I think that's what Sean was asking.
Oh, what about the park? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry. I thought you guys were still talking about.
I don't know what the bond was for. You guys just brought that up last meeting, that to use that to purchase the building. If you're not gonna purchase the building, I just wonder if we can use that or put
I think we
that
found
up.
out we can't use that, didn't we? Or
What is
that
the bond for
for the
originally?
parking.
So the bond is the leftover money from the Division Street project. However, because of what's going on with the county, we can't do anything until that settles. But anything financial has to come back to council for discussion, right?
Deegan? Yeah.
Right.
Well, first I'd wanna know if the council's gonna move forward with the project, right? And that, again, we're going backwards again here. We're gonna talk about that you guys are gonna talk about that in January.
Right.
So there's time before the May,
Due date.
yeah, on the bonds to get this reissued.
You gotta have the parking lot built by the end of May.
We
Well,
have to have it paid for.
So that's why I'm asking, because that timeline, historically, you need to come back and trigger that if that's something that we need to ask for, if that's the approach. I'm just asking if it would automatically trigger, like we've asked, if that's an option. And so will that automatically, when you guys hear back from the county, will that automatically trigger you guys to look at that as an option, or do we need to follow up on that?
I don't think there's any need for you guys to follow up on it, other than if you wanna come back during budgeting
Right.
to talk about the project.
The council's well aware of what we have to do with that bond,
Oh,
with the bonding process and everything.
So we need to build
And
it
we're on a time
to make sure.
time limit on this.
Depending on if.
Like,
Right, I understand that.
That we have to
I understand
spend that money.
So we have to
So
really
that
if,
bond.
get the
if now
county.
that money is taken out of this
That's
building
what's up
over
on
here,
anything.
yeah,
Right.
we'll be looking at.
So I'm just
those
saying, is that automatically?
Hang on,
triggered?
too many conversations going on.
let me just talk to the bonding attorney.
How much money was that?
Yes,
Right now, there's 400, almost
you don't.
Hang on. Shelley only.
almost $400,000 left, right?
But some of it was going to televising,
Correct.
which was roughly
Yeah,
50. So we still have 350,
We'll have the payment to the county.
which was
We don't know.
roughly, what was the preliminary?
She said like 118 or something.
120,
Something, yeah.
125, I don't know, somewhere in there.
You're looking like
You
Well,
also, you wanted to do the first round of sewer lining and stuff like that.
Improvements.
And that was how much?
It just depends on
That's
what
what
they
we're
find.
waiting to find with the.
I'm just trying to think like, is there money? If so, we need to put this to bid by the what, first of the year to start the project in March?
I would strongly recommend waiting for the county to come back.
Yeah, I think.
Because
we
of
need that.
everything that keeps coming out of our meetings, that's the wild card.
We need that.
We've got like
So
4
what
different
degree,
things.
Cause the money's
They
gone in
keep-
May, right? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? So you have to.
It's
do
not
it before
gone in May. It's not gone in
We're
May. We're
penalized.
penalized.
But what I'm saying is, the county's not gonna come back and say, instead of 100 and whatever, it's
Surprise.
200.
I have no idea.
Well, if it is, then
That's a wild
we
card.
could turn around and say, then we're not gonna do the annexation.
Right, but
What's gonna give our town more value, annexing in that property or supporting the businesses?
we still,
Supporting businesses.
Because we can still turn around and say no to the annexation.
Right.
For once.
That's
But-
right.
we still have a lot of unknowns with the county on who owes what money. And there are things that are coming up in our meetings that we were unaware of because we were not around back then. The people that were did not take very good notes and explain things for us. So I would be very careful of touching any more of that money until we get the county to settle on an answer.
When,
And then whether or not you annex it or not, that's your decision, and you can totally choose not to and
What
spend
if-
it downtown, that's up to you.
So what happens if they keep balking all the way until May, and then we're sitting here with all the money, now we're penalized because
what's the
Which-
penalty?
They
Yeah,
could
I
very
don't know
well
that.
do.
It's to the issuer of the bonds. They could lose their tax exemption status on those bonds. And the city could be penalized on future borrowing.
So it would make no sense to not use the money.
That's exactly right.
Right,
So you,
we are trying really, really hard.
but you're saying wait for the county, you can't
We-
wait so
Because
long.
we are
We have to
stuck.
wait
have
for
to
the
wait.
county.
We are
So
stuck.
what if that happens up until May?
That's what we,
Screwed?
I think you guys have been dealing with, everybody on this council has been dealing with that county for 3-4 years trying to get it. I mean, we're kind of hog-tied basically waiting on them.
What it is the way that it has to work out is there was a certain amount of money that was withheld by the city previous to these folks coming in from the construction money to cover the design fees, okay? Which was not the way it was supposed to happen in the county side. So the city would have to pay all of that money back to the county. And then invoice the county to get that money back, which God knows how long that'll
So
take.
you
Which was
told
the way the agreement was written originally.
Right.
So you told the deacons to get on their agenda, why don't we all get on their agenda, including you guys? I mean, it show up in
That
force,
is up
right?
to you, I cannot tell you one way or the other to do that. All I said was, this is the way it works at the county. I did not advise them to go do it.
But I can just advise you that it seems like every time we talk to them, it goes backwards. So
But I would think that
it
the
was
city
kind of a
council would
bad thing to
have,
say.
the city council should have some power, you know, like you guys.
you went and
speak to-
talked to them originally.
We did.
Oh, yeah, we've been
Yeah.
talking
To
to
set
them.
the final date of the project,
Yeah, multiple times.
May I ask who makes this decision?
which
What do you mean,
decision?
which part?
Who is it? Who gives the answer back? Who are you waiting on?
Technically, secondary road engineers need to advise the supervisors on a direction to go. The supervisors will not make a decision without secondary road engineers. Secondary road engineers need numbers. And that's what they keep going back and forth on, is financials on the project. So until all of that is settled, the secondary road engineers will not advise the supervisors one way or the other, which means the supervisors will not make a decision.
And they've been doing this for 4 years.
Well,
Not,
not,
I'm not laughing at you.
No, I'm just like, I can't.
the project's been completed for 4 years, but this, you know, you withheld money, you didn't pay us enough, that just basically came up, what, July?
Yeah, just.
Verbally, nothing in writing to the city, but.
Have you had the bond for 4 years?
Yeah, the bond's been here for 4 years. Coming up on 5 in May of 2025, therefore why?
The penalty.
Yep. It should have been addressed, let's just say 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
The,
And you have no idea what the penalty is. I mean, what if it's
We
50%
would have to ask
of
for
the
bonding
bond?
attorney.
I mean, that's a good question to ask. I
It,
mean, what if it's a 50%
It's not
penalty?
something that we would ever want to risk because it affects your future.
it's not that they're gonna
ability to
take the money
bond.
back. It's just that
Right, but it can be a
the
hefty
city's
penalty.
future bonding could be in jeopardy.
Right.
And if we can't bond, we can't do
Yeah,
anything
that's-
in this town.
We don't wanna mess with it.
That's worse than we're taking the money back.
as far as talking to the supervisors, the stuff we're gonna send to them tomorrow, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they'll have an answer by the next council, or the next supervisors meeting. So I don't know that it would do any good for you guys to go to the next one if you so choose to do something like that. But we're pushing, I think the county seems to be in favor of the annexation and all that stuff, just from what we've heard. It's just getting this ironed out with the
It's figuring out the
secondary road.
financials, that's where we're getting, once we could get the financials settled, I think the supervisors will make a decision very, very quickly. But without the financials settled. Same thing, if it were on our side, if we didn't know the exact cost of stuff, you know.
But you
we would be
could
doing stuff.
continue communications and try to negotiate something.
Right.
You wouldn't just sit there and say,
So-
we don't agree with this, and not say, well, we would agree to half of it, a quarter of it. They're not, in my opinion, when Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor and I, and Tim, were you on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the engineer just blaming, wanting to issue blame and not come to a resolution.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
So they think that you guys owe them money?
Well, we do.
Oh,
Well,
We do,
technically we
that's part of
do,
the bond.
because the way the agreement was written is that the city was to pay for it and then invoice the county. Well, that wasn't happening. It was the payments that, for the, am I explaining this right?
Yeah, there's.
The construction payments to the county, there was monies being withheld for that engineering, rather than paying the full bill, you know, let's say big round numbers, $100,000 worth of construction, the previous clerk would withhold some money and maybe only pay $92,000. Now, if I got a payment that had an invoice for $100,000, but a check for 92, I'd be saying, what's going on? Why?
Right. They didn't ask that question. I mean, I think she foresaw some of these issues happening and
But
that's
that
why
was,
she did
still
what
wasn't,
she did.
I'm
but-
nothing against Tanya, but it wasn't the right way to handle it. It just wasn't.
But there is one other issue that's outstanding, that's a disputed fee with the county, and that's what we're working through now. So, and we think we can switch.
So refresh me again, how much total money is there?
Three,
We're 380.
390 something
Okay.
thousand
We
dollars.
spent 50 of it, like that's already gone spent, so 340 left. So my question is,
396,000.
okay, so 346,000.
Every question, every meeting.
Yeah, I know, we need to get rid of it. I guess I'm still wondering why we can't move ahead with the parking lot project to 90,000, which leaves 250,000.
Because we may owe more than 250,000.
So where are you gonna come up with the money for 280,000
We
if that's what
don't,
the
we
county
don't
says?
have the figure from the county to settle this, right?
Because we'll need to finish our payments and then invoice them for the part that they're supposed to reimburse us.
So we're thinking that they might come back at us with over 200% of what the projected originally was.
It's two different financial things, they're separate.
Do you not have the numbers that they're saying you owe?
That's one of the things we're working on.
Not the final one, we're close, but the issue is, I think she withheld 270,000 or something like that. What was it? She held a big number.
Really?
It's in the folder.
I don't think it was that much.
I didn't think it was that.
And so,
I didn't
We're going
either.
in circles.
yeah, it's,
I didn't think it was that.
Regardless,
It
it's
doesn't,
a big
we're on
amount.
track.
Yeah.
It's around 16 or something.
We're not on anything really. It was a question asking, well, can't the parking lot be used from the money you were gonna buy the building from? But you're not buying the building. There's really no item on the agenda for it.
But again, if they are going to use that bond money for anything, it comes back because they have to talk about it. It's financial related. They can't do anything financial related without talking about it in council. So, we are talking in circles, let's move on. Resolution 73, consideration of accepting the
What are
2024.
you doing on 15? Are you having them take that to the bonding attorney, or what are you doing there? For repurposing?
You're on 16, aren't you?
What are we on, 15?
I'm just asking,
What
what
was
are you
the
doing?
motion made on? That'd been.
There was no
There
motion.
was no
There
more.
I
was a
thought the
motion.
withdrawal of the purchase
Right,
agreement,
that's,
that'd be the
that's item
motion.
14.
Okay.
So now you need to go to item 15.
But if we're not gonna do it, does that void 15?
Do you want me to take this resolution back to the bonding attorney to talk about repurposing for another purpose?
Yes.
Or do you wanna wait until we have more information from the county?
I would think if we had enough for the 275 here, we could have enough for 60, wouldn't we? If you had the repurposing.
At least you could
Number
get that
came
process moving
before
forward to
Oh, okay.
have the money repurposed if you
Motion to
choose.
take it to the bonding attorney for the full amount of
Thank you.
90,000 or whatever, because the maintenance isn't a part of the initial, so it's 90,000.
So you made a motion, and you
Second.
seconded?
Yeah, to take back the bonding attorney, right, is what you're, okay.
Okay. All in favor of taking back to the bonding attorney?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. 16, resolution 73, accepting the 2024 sewer pavement rehabilitation project as completed by, is it Klesner? Klesner Construction.
Motion to approve resolution 73, 2024.
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Pujol.
Aye.
Stagg.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Enoch.
Aye.
Thank you. 17, City of Cedar Rapids proposed annexation. Review the correspondence from the City of Cedar Rapids on annexing property on Walford.
There's no action you need to take on this. It simply is an FYI. It's in area 4 of your friend's area agreement again. You waived any right to respond.
This is just basically that they have to send this out to us, right, the letter, yeah.
And I think it's important that the council's aware of the property that's being annexed around your city
Yes.
by the city of Cedar Rapids, so that's why it's on the agenda.
We're moving south.
I just didn't want somebody to come back a year
This is
later and say,
the
well, when did that happen?
The
Why weren't
airport,
we informed?
the airport's actually hedging for,
Yep, it's the airport.
Questions on it? Do you need a motion?
Nothing.
All right. Resolution 74, authorizing city clerk to write off a utility account as uncollectible.
Motion to approve resolution 74, 2024.
second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Stagg.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Enoch.
Aye.
Pujol.
Aye.
Paper utility bills, consider switch to paper utility bills versus postcard to allow for a monthly newsletter. Wait,
No.
you skipped,
You
you
skipped
gotta
one
get to 19.
I'm sorry, I skipped you.
It's fine.
Let's talk about the Facebook page.
So I get requests from businesses in town to post things on the Facebook page. I don't really have any guidance on what I can and cannot post. And I know with some of the establishments being having alcohol, I just need guidance on
Thanks, Tim.
what I can
Make sure
and
you let
cannot
them know.
share to help support the businesses in town. I try to share any big community events, but I don't want to leave one business out. And so I just want some guidance from council on what you think is appropriate.
What kind of requests are you getting?
Like when things change about businesses, I got one from Kava House because their hours and their menu, a lot of things have changed there. And it's a very innocent post, but it's very just about their business. So it's not like an event or anything. So I try to share the events, but again, if they are alcohol related, then I just don't want to bring the city liability of advertising going out and drinking or anything like that. And I don't think I should be the one making that decision, so I'm bringing it to council.
I requested it because you had posted about another coffee shop that was coming to the
Yes.
ballpark, and I was like, oh,
For
another
Swisher,
city.
yeah, the Swisher Youth Sports had a coffee shop come.
I know I talked to a city council member in Ely, and they don't allow private businesses on their Facebook page. They advertise everything that the city is doing, or the fire department, or
Organizations.
organizations.
Nonprofit organizations.
Any, like the Legion, or anybody like that, but I know they don't allow, I'm not saying we can or whatever, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know if you
So
go by the small communities.
The gray area that we're talking about is Swisher Youth Sports had a coffee mobile bar come.
Okay.
And so it's inadvertently sharing that business because I'm sharing Swisher Youth Sports, which is a nonprofit. So if it's no private businesses at all, I would just have to nix those posts for the nonprofits that are using businesses, but then that opens up, like the sip-in shops and things like that, that come to town and bring a lot of business, because they're also advertising private businesses. There's no 501c3 behind them. It's just the businesses all coming together. So that's where I'm just confused on what I should and should not be posting. And what you guys, I'm okay with whatever you guys decide. I just would like guidance. Yes.
What is the Alliance's feedback regarding this situation? What would you guys like to see, not like to see? What's your guys' input on it?
I think that we've discussed it a little, and of course there is gray area, but from our point of view, we would like to see some, if not numerous posts, but some posts at least sharing that there are businesses in Swisher. Now, we haven't done a deep dive with other towns. Obviously, he said Ely doesn't do any, and sharing events, but it just seems a little like if we don't have anything and we never mention it, then it's almost like we're not supporting the local businesses, so.
I think there's a fine line.
Yeah.
To be honest, like you don't want to be posting stuff on there every day about the businesses, but when things change or there's events coming up, you know, even if it's something like the car show and then the Black Squirrel or Dance More Cup House is hosting something for it, you want the community to know about that. So it's like you want to put that out there, but not posting their daily specials or.
Don't you kind of leave that up to the businesses to do their own advertising?
Yeah, but.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't follow the businesses,
Yeah.
you know, and especially like Kava House, they had 6,000 followers and Karen couldn't give me access, so I had to start it all over.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of local people that still don't follow our new page, but they do follow the Swisher page.
See,
I
that's,
think it kind of comes down to, Swisher Strong doesn't allow businesses to post either. So there's really
they have
no,
what, Business Sunday or something?
yeah, but then you have to comment under that post.
Oh, yeah. So
And I know that came into effect because there was a couple businesses that were posting like 7 specials a day, every
Yeah.
single day, and it was getting old.
And maybe it's just something that is like a quarterly, hey, did you know, not a monthly thing, or even maybe something like me asking to share that post, but maybe it's just a highlight of, we're gonna highlight one business each month in town.
Mhm. This is something that came up a few times in our work sessions, and it basically just came down to, we're not sharing the business stuff, but we'll share nonprofit organizations.
That's, in my experience, that's.
Which I've seen
typically-
businesses, or I've seen cities do both. But, you know, the alcohol point, some of those things are valid, but it's still not doing anything to help the businesses in town, and there's ways to do that. Like, you could put out a once a month post on like the first day of the month that, you know, businesses have to submit their events for the month. And all they do is just get, these events are happening in town, or something that, you know, maybe that could be spent, some time could be spent at a work session on that, you know, what is a fair way to represent every business? You know, like Sean said, a spotlight, or, you know, a calendar of events of things happening in town, because that doesn't necessarily do anything specific for anybody.
See, that's where I don't think we should like be sending out a straight advertisement or like Fireball Friday. Like, no, I don't
no,
think
I
we
wouldn't
should.
even-
No, I know, but like,
Dollar piece.
you guys have the Haley Winters concert coming up. Like, are we supposed to share that or not? Like, is that a community event or is that a private event? And that's where,
I think events that are open to the public and that a lot of people in Swisher attend, I mean, I think that that's community communication. And that's been something that's been ongoing. People have asked what's going on in town, and the city is a way to share that. I mean, we have a message board. I don't understand why we can't like even take a picture of what's on the message board and post that on the Facebook page. There's easy ways to do it where you're not singling people out.
who's the technical host for the Christmas parade? What organization? Or is that,
Just us
You?
that does it.
yeah, so that's
I
where
mean, we
like,
run it through Swisher Fun Days, but it's
that's where you run it
two
through.
people who
Yeah,
run
because
it.
that's where I'm like saying like that, like, are people gonna misinterpret it that that's, we're sharing it for Sonia in the bar, or I forgot what other, you know, Kava I think has something, like whoever it is, are we just spotlighting those businesses? And I think that's unfair because that's ultimately a community event. I like the idea of businesses submitting, so that we have a calendar of events. I always think we should have had a calendar of events, so that people can see that. Something like the hours, yeah, I could see that, because that is I don't know.
My concern is with businesses, there are a lot more businesses than just the retail or
Yes.
restaurant businesses, and they don't have events. So then they're, even though they're not here, represented here, they would be left out if it
But I
was
don't
just a
think they
calendar of
should.
events.
Yeah, I don't think they should be left out. And
Yeah.
that's because there's things that I don't even know are here,
Mhm.
you know, and it's so important for people to hear about it. And how do you hear about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about it is if you're talking about all businesses, then what are we gonna do? We're gonna, like Cody's dad owns his own business, are we gonna post that on there that, you know, he's got a thing and Kevin's got 5-Star and Cobra Electric's up
Well,
there.
why can you put out like a once a month reminder
That's what I
of
mean.
these are the
You could-
businesses in
You could
town?
put all the business,
Check them all
yeah,
out.
I mean, yeah, you could do that, but you're gonna wanna showcase all
All
of
of
the
them.
businesses, not just the retail
On
and
our,
the consumer.
on our website, there is a link that does highlight businesses in Swisher as
They're all
well.
there. Can you
So-
share that?
And I get the nonprofit stuff being posted, because that's important, those are a lot of the main events, but I also don't agree with posting about Grind Coffee Company coming into town, when we have multiple businesses here where you can go
Grind
get
your coffee.
coffee and,
And Chef Green.
I mean, I think that at that point, that's up to their Facebook page, just like it is us, to advertise that that's coming into town.
I think she was just doing that because it was already,
Yeah, no, I mean,
With the
if they wanna advertise, like, you
Yeah, I
sign up
was-
for something, or.
I was asked to share that, so, yeah, that's why I brought it up to city council, because some things I'm asked to share and then I don't share other things, and so that's why I don't wanna be in the middle, I just wanna know what's appropriate and what's not.
And we have an email list for all businesses, correct?
No, we don't have emails for all the businesses. There's still quite a few.
I mean, they should have, if they wanna do business, they should have contact information, right? Otherwise, they clearly don't wanna be contacted.
What if they don't wanna share it?
Then I think
Then they
this
don't
is
need
null
to
and
share.
void. I don't think they wanna be shared on the Facebook page either.
Yeah.
But do we need that permission or not?
I mean, you could maybe put out a
Probably.
form or something, ask the businesses to do
I don't
a
wanna
form,
get
I don't know.
involved with a form, another form, unless Mallory does.
No, that's what I'm just saying, like,
I'm not saying that's what you should do, I'm
if
just saying there's gotta be a
Mallory says-
solution.
I would be okay with that, putting out a form. Not all businesses, I would need emails. There's like, I would have to figure out a way to contact everyone, because
yeah,
some businesses, like somebody that does seamstress work at their home, they're not gonna have a Facebook page. Like, you know,
Yes.
my 90-year-old grandma doesn't have a Facebook page. She's not gonna see me post a form on Facebook. So we just need to figure out the best way to contact people, and I can do that. I just need you guys to tell me what's appropriate to post. If you want me to post, then I can do all the back end stuff and figure out how to contact the businesses, see who wants to be advertised, and do something like a monthly highlight of all the businesses, or one per month, and just kind of rotate through, or something like that.
on our Facebook page now, I'm not on it, so I don't know, but on our Facebook page, do we have like a list of all the businesses in Swisher?
No, on
That would be
Facebook,
something that would be.
or not
really nice to
Facebook,
have.
sorry, our website, we do list businesses in
Right,
Swisher.
yeah, I've seen that on the
But it's
website.
not all encompassing either, so,
It's who's ever told us.
yeah.
that's what I'm just thinking, can we get a post out that if you're a business in town, to provide your contact, if you wanna be a part of it? And then we could start on the first of each month, submitting the events that are in the town for that month. Anybody is open to do it, it's not advertising any specific event, but it would at least show us what's going on in town.
Wouldn't that
There's
get,
no advertising for any business technically.
well, if you're advertising events, wouldn't that get back to what we were worried about with the alcohol?
Yeah.
What are you worried about?
I'm just saying, you guys.
No, I'm saying we sponsor fun days.
So,
There's no drinking there.
So on the website, there is a list of businesses and their contact information, but I can probably name three or four businesses that are not on this list.
And I think it's up to the business to reach out to you. I don't think you need to track them down. If they don't choose to reach out to you, that's on the business.
I just don't want to cause hard feelings if they are like, why are these other businesses, they don't even know that this is happening, you know?
Then you ask for their contact info.
I think the
And then say,
spotlight's
I'll add you
kinda
now.
hard, just because I would be willing to bet there's more than 12. So now you're like, you could be like, oh, I'll get to you in October of 2025 or 26.
Yeah.
Because you're number 17 out.
Mhm.
I could see that issue. But I think putting a post out there, I
Can't
think,
you just put a link, visit local businesses and put a link to the city website? I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm fine with figuring out the best way to advertise them. I just need to know what kind of advertisements you want me to make. Do you want me to share their posts? Do you want me to highlight the businesses? And then I can figure out how to contact them and all of that and see who wants to be included.
I would not share their posts,
Yeah.
because if you're looking at Common House, I post 2 times a day sometimes.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous.
I would say we
But-
start with just having
A list.
list on the Facebook page of list
Yeah.
of all the businesses that we know of in Swisher. If we
Mhm.
miss some, we can always add it, you can add it in 5 minutes, probably, you know?
And not share any, like reshare any of their posts for events or things like that.
Yeah.
And then just 501c3.
You know, let everybody
Things.
know that, you know, the Dance More is here and Sonia's is here and the Com is
Could
here.
you also put a message that any business that's not listed here?
Yes.
Please contact you and you'll include it next time.
Yep.
That would take care of you worrying about.
Mhm.
Right, who you ticked off or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you-
Do you need anything else from us?
No.
I'm not an advertiser. Moving on to 20, paper utility bills. Consider switch to paper utility bills versus postcard to allow the monthly newsletter to be printed on the back.
So Mallory and I talked about this, just because it came to the quarterly newsletter needing to be mailed and postage and how do we do it and, and I'm to the point where I've got like 1 stack of postcard bills left, so if we wanted to switch, you know, I'd use those up and at some point in the future we do that. I can just tell you, I did a rough calculation, so postcards per year, including the permit and the postage that it costs every month to mail the bills, is and this is rough, $2,110 to mail those postcards. And then to do, paper billing would be a roughly about $115 extra a year. And then we could just print a monthly newsletter on the back of that. And so that would then add a couple $100. So we'd be looking at about $2,400 per year to do monthly newsletter on the back of a paper bill.
About an extra $200 a year.
Yeah,
But it would take away the quarterly one that we're
Correct.
doing now, so it would take away that postage.
Everybody that gets a
And-
utility bill gets.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
single person in town gets a newsletter now, right?
Yes.
That's a good idea.
so, yeah, this is, and it's nothing to add it to our software. They just this is what a paper bill would kind of look like. We'd get our information and logo on
So
it.
basically, it probably costs us $100 to get everybody a newsletter monthly.
Yes.
So
About
what bills are you
$200
talking
a year
The utility bill.
extra. Some people get
Yeah,
an
but then you're
email.
taking,
about?
reducing
Aren't you-
out the
Quarterly.
and send out.
Automatic withdrawal
Sure.
or-
Not
Yeah.
everyone.
So basically,
And
that would
even
take
if-
away like, it would take away about 200 mailings
Yeah.
per year.
Yeah.
Which, so it'd be almost a wash,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
so.
everyone would have access to it, so.
Motion to switch to paper utility bills.
Second.
Discussion?
So so you're gonna do it to everyone or just the ones that don't have automatic debits?
What do you mean?
Everybody gets a utility bill regardless of how they pay.
Yeah, you still get a bill.
Not paper.
No, you get a
Email.
postcard.
Yeah, no, I don't get.
You get it emailed to you?
You get an
Yeah, I
email.
get email from it,
Well,
yeah.
she would still have to do the email
Mhm.
to.
But I said, I don't
people.
need paper, I don't know why,
No,
No, you still wouldn't.
you wouldn't get a paper.
that's what I wanted
Yeah,
to know.
no,
Okay,
no,
cause you
yeah,
see it on
it's-
my account.
You'd still get a,
Email.
emailed bill.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
On the email bill, would the newsletter be on the,
I'd have to check into that, Kurt. I don't think that that's capable, but of course then
I
we would
also have an
still have
email
the
list.
list of the people that, you know,
Yeah,
we
there
could
are
work on that.
There are a lot of people on the email list that don't even live in Swisher. They're like, you know, the greater Iowa city or, you know, all these different, I have a bunch of different people that get it, so.
Okay.
Alright, all in favor of switching? Anyone opposed? Alright, last item, review permit and other fees. We had talked about this a couple months ago.
Yeah, so yeah, this is, I put together that spreadsheet based on what we currently charge and just suggestions. I did look at Shoeyville, Ely, and Walford for their fees. So, again, we can talk about whatever you want or
I'll
not.
make a motion to table to a work session.
Okay,
I mean, there's so many different fees,
Right.
It's
and
gonna
there's
be
a
a
lot
big
of data. I mean, we could
Work session
literally-
meaning, do we
We're
wanna
supposed to,
schedule a work
we have
session?
not scheduled a work session.
We haven't had one.
I didn't
No.
know you did.
That's Mike's first
Sometimes they do on this.
active duty.
Schedule work study.
Anyway, we have a motion to
Rebecca, how about-
table. Do we have a
we do them
second to
quarterly?
table?
Second.
Work sessions?
To when?
Are you guys still doing the second one every month? Second
We
meeting?
do a
kind of-
second
Yeah, we
meeting
do a
every
second
month and it
meeting.
becomes a meeting.
It's no longer a
But
work.
we do
Yeah.
a work session.
That's why I'm like, what are you talking about, a work session?
Every
Because
quarter.
that one, the second meeting was supposed to be a work session.
Well, they're not, they're meetings.
They're not, they're meetings,
So,
they're full.
But even
Yeah.
still, when we went to the 2 meetings, we did work session, what,
They
twice a
were
year?
always scheduled. They
Yeah.
were literally just always scheduled.
Yeah.
schedule.
We-
But that's why we added the second one, was because we're like, we have so many needs now for work sessions that was strictly supposed to be for work
Wow.
sessions.
No,
That's not what they
it
do
ended up being.
anymore.
I think even
Yeah.
if we do like 2 a year,
Yeah.
every 6 months do a work set, because we brought something else up, I forgot, like 2 or 3 meetings ago to be tabled to do a work session.
You probably need one once a quarter, because you already have extra ones in the first quarter
So
for
when do you,
budget.
when do you wanna table this to what work session? Do you wanna do December 2nd? Just cause there's no meetings on the 2nd.
Like, we would do work sessions on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, because it's not a meeting.
Right,
Right, but I know not everybody's available during the week. You
No, I
guys
know.
tend to be available on Mondays,
And you
so
get busy now with Sunday.
if you don't make a decision
Yeah, don't
now,
tell me
it's just
schedule
gonna
it,
keep-
table it to a work session without giving me a date for
But
your work session.
What was it, there was something 2 or 3 meetings ago I said table
Yeah,
to
I
a
think
work
there's,
session.
yeah,
and-
there
and we
is.
never,
but
And
you
I
never
don't
set a
remember what
date.
the topic was. We'll have to
I
look
have
back.
something here that's to December 9th. Hold on.
December.
Probably that
The extra
annexation we were
patrols
talking
on
about.
Wednesday nights.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's just the 6-month review.
Yeah, but there was something that
Then
we
I have
said,
no
let's
idea.
table it to a work session to talk about.
That I don't
remember
didn't
what it
write
was.
There's
down
an
or
ordinance thing, I
We'd
think,
have to look at the
an ordinance thing.
minutes.
or like a code book thing. I know it was.
Anyway, when do you wanna do this work session, so she can.
Just schedule it. Whoever can,
Well, if
Let's
we
do it,
can't
let's
get
do it
3 people
before
here,
we
then
start
it's-
on budget.
Do you guys
Because
wanna
we're gonna have a
do
lot of meetings for budget.
Yeah.
Monday, December 2nd,
sure.
at
That's what we
normal
were
6:30
talking about.
time?
Why would we make a special meeting?
I don't know.
No, if that's,
Because we're gonna sit here and talk about these fees for the next hour and a half.
no. You think so?
Oh, yeah.
To go through every single one of these fees compared to 3 other cities,
And
I mean,
considering that,
it's already almost 8:30. No, I don't wanna be here till 9 o'clock
yeah,
on a
some of
Monday.
these fees, we don't assess anything right now. And we're looking at this, what other cities do. So it's gonna be whether or not, do we wanna put these,
We can wait and do a work session in the spring. I mean, I think we could wait until we get 3 things tabled to a work session, and then we schedule a work session.
There you
I
go.
think that's a
Like,
good
none of
idea.
these fees need to be resolved by the first of the year.
No, this could be done in probably
Yeah,
February.
it's-
I know that this was one of
It's
those
silly to have a
things
work
that you told me
session
to
over one
table to
thing.
a work session, so now I'm bringing it.
Hang
No,
on,
I
hang on.
understand.
There are fees in here that have to do with building permits, and you have a whole lot of building permits coming in, which is losing money
Oh, up there.
to a town that needs money. If you don't set fees for those building permits, we're gonna keep doing them for free.
Well,
And you're gonna lose that money.
$25.
I don't know how much
Gee,
building permits are gonna be
Christmas.
done
Unless
this
you
winter.
guys
Holy
do
crap.
more,
That's what
because
the city gets,
Plenty of cities do
$25.
What a joke.
Exactly.
Holy crap. And we're wondering why we don't have money.
yeah, and you have, we've already signed off on 2, and I guarantee you there are more coming this winter.
Oh, where's the building permit on this?
It's $25.
First thing,
That's first thing.
the very
Oh,
first
I
thing.
Oh,
see.
new
At the top.
construction or.
I was looking at the lined items. Alright, let's go through this then.
Listen, if you want it on the next meeting, that's fine, but
Yeah, but
it's gotta be
that's-
addressed at some point.
No, I agree.
I mean, these were talked about, I wanna say I have it on my calendar that it was talked about 3 months ago, and I finally got around to
Alright, let's go
getting
through
some
it.
info. So,
A motion to not carry.
again, right now we get $25 on any type of building permit.
Plus Johnson.
Well,
County.
Johnson County they collect fees on our building permits too, but they do our inspections.
Do we know how much they collect?
I don't know. I mean, I can find that out if you'd like me to. I'm just suggesting on a new construction or addition, $50, but
But I'm just
Yes.
That's doubling the fee, and it's still pretty reasonable compared to Wolford. Ely, Lynn County handles all their permitting and inspections. The city doesn't get anything.
I think we do a hundred
Walford
on
gets
building.
200.
What is it now?
It's $25.
But I'm saying on a new construction or an addition, for a building permit, yeah, I think we should go up to 100.
Is that for a building
Walford
too?
gets 200.
I know. That's why, I mean, I don't even think go to 50. I think we'll
Okay.
pass that to 100 at minimum.
Is that for a building too? Like say you wanted to put a detached garage
No,
on?
that's a
That's
separate fee.
separate.
Okay,
But
This is a new house or
any new
or an
construction,
addition on yours.
any new
Okay,
construction or addition.
I mean, if Walford's doing 200, I think we're at 100 at minimum.
I agree.
let's go 100.
Okay. Detached garage,
If you remember, I did pull up Solon's last time we talked about this, that they're $75 to $6,626.
Wait, what?
It's graded depending on the value of the building you're putting in.
Let's just go with
We're not
100.
going that, no,
Yeah,
we're
let's
not
just
going
go
that crazy.
100.
That's crazy.
Detached, and that's just
Thinking like, I don't want someone that has, I mean, I know the men's club replaced someone's like stairs or deck or something recently,
It was a deck, I
a
think.
deck. And if they wouldn't have known it, then we come back at the biggest organization, like, you guys didn't pay a $10 fee.
Oh, no,
Well,
we
it's not
wouldn't go back, we wouldn't go back retroactive.
No, but I'm saying, moving forward, let's say next summer, they wanna do another person's deck, but nobody knows that you have to,
Well, it would have to be posted on the website because
That's
it's
what
a
I'm
fee
saying, it's
structure. She would get
It
it
would
out on
Be
social
a
media.
resolution that would
Okay.
come before the council, yeah.
Yeah, this is not the end of you guys looking at this.
No, this is just reviewing these fees, so I
So
know
she
what to
knows
bring
the
forward.
direction.
fence 10,
Where we at? Where are you guys
Demolition.
at? Okay,
what do we mean by
25.
demolition?
so, yeah, somebody has an old garage that they're tearing down, or a house is being torn down, or,
Why do we need a fee for that though?
well, based on the city attorney conversation on this one over here on Rose,
Yeah.
if you're ordering somebody to demo, you wanna make sure it's being done right? If there's electrical or gas or, which, and again, before that letter was sent, I consulted also with Johnson County, because I didn't know if we needed a permit. And I was informed by Johnson County that, yeah, well, that's just it, if there's electrical or gas, or, you know, you're disconnecting sewer, I've never worked for a city that you didn't have to take out a permit and pay a fee to have something demoed, because you wanna make sure it's being, you know, is it just gonna sit there once it's demoed?
Well, what does the fee do? How do we still
You
know?
permit it, you
We
permit that
permit it,
demo.
but, yeah, so they got a permit, how do you know that they're gonna do it right?
What does the permit say? It's just, it's just removing the building?
Yeah, well, they have to follow the city code, there is a city code on demoing.
Well, they gotta do that now then, don't
So
they?
will you have to create a permit for each of these items?
No.
No?
No, we just use a building permit, and there'd be a spot on it that says you're demoing.
Keep in mind, every permit comes back through City Hall and costs her time.
No, I get that, but I'm just
So
saying
that's
like,
what you're kind of trying to pay for
I have a
is
garden
her
shed out back
time.
of my house, it's like 10 by 10. If I just said, all right, I'm over this thing, I'd have to pay $25 to take it down when there's no electrical, no nothing to it.
Do you
Or,
wanna put that stipulation on?
that's what I'm just saying,
Sure.
if there's electrical, gas, water shutoffs involved, then I think they need a permit. But I think if it's
Yeah, you're just taking down a shed in your
like
backyard.
the property on Rose, the one building that 100% we've said needs demoed, there's no hookups of anything in there. The garage, there is electrical, so I could see how we'd have to have a permit for an electrical hook, you know?
But he's not demoing it.
Disconnect.
He's supposedly putting a
No
new
roof.
roof on that.
I'm saying if he wanted to,
And that was the one I specifically called the city attorney and called Johnson County.
cause I could see that
And the
where,
advisement was yes, get a.
if there's
have a-
disconnects involved, I think $25.
And that's the agreement with Johnson County. It specifically says in our code book that anything demoed, you have to first obtain a building permit. So maybe we just need to amend the code, or you should, that should have been addressed at that time.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
How did him having to take that building down in that garage get brought up?
It was a complaint.
Okay, that's what,
Does that matter if it's a complaint or not? If you see something that looks like,
yeah, it does
looks
matter, because if we're
dangerous.
forcing them to take it down.
But that's, you all, as well as me, have taken an oath to enforce this code book.
Yeah.
And when there's a dangerous building, then it should be,
So
then
what
the
about-
code should be followed.
What about a building that hasn't had siding on it for 20 years and windows busted out?
Somebody needs to bring a complaint, tell me where it is. Yeah,
So as soon as we make a complaint, then they gotta do something about it.
Then a nuisance letter
well,
gets sent.
I guess that's up to the council, because just because you get a complaint doesn't mean you're gonna do something about
Well, Justin goes and observes it, correct? Is it?
Generally,
Here?
we'll go into.
Is that not what,
Yeah, that's
this
what I'm
was
saying.
right here?
I'm
Put
just in
complaint,
the guys
we're not
for
doing
you guys to talk about.
Complaint, we're not doing anything.
I mean, we're sending a letter right now. Okay,
Let's get back to this.
Yeah, I sorry, I didn't mean to.
you wanted to find out why I'm asking for, what is it, $25 for a demo?
But you probably issue one a year, let's go on.
Yeah, $25.
Come on, you're nitpicking here,
Okay,
otherwise we'll just
Yeah.
keep doing what we're doing.
what's the sign?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think it's $25 for a sign permit. Is it not?
I don't know what a sign permit is. Like what,
What's it, to put a sign
So
up?
when,
Like a
Pleasant,
business sign?
whatever, yeah, business sign, when Pleasant Ridge put up we're selling lots
Yeah.
now, they gotta get a sign for that.
All right, go with 50 then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solar panels,
go with 25.
25 is fine.
floodplain,
Building in a floodplain, is that what that is?
yep, to be
Yeah,
issued a
under-
build, because there is a lot more that goes into issuing a permit in a floodplain than what you guys
so they would
realize.
pay the building permit and the floodplain permit, correct?
It's all one,
Oh, it is?
$100 floodplain
Oh,
building
that's
permit.
Oh,
That's
that's
good.
fine.
Chickens,
Chicken's good.
Chickens.
you don't charge, but boy, other cities do a lot, and $10.
Right away, what are you,
Yep.
for installing utilities and stuff?
So any work in a right of way, like if somebody's gonna install a sidewalk or a driveway or yeah, I mean, what else would they be putting in it? They shouldn't be putting anything in a right of
Yeah,
way.
really, that's why I just wondered.
But,
Well,
yeah,
we can, but if we ever wanna tear it down, we can.
or a like an outside utility company comes in and is installing fiber, it's just,
$10 over 25 minutes.
what about for a utility company? Do you just want it waived? Do you want it 25? Do you want it 50?
That's it,
I'd waive that,
Waive the
the
utility.
utility company is actually bringing in,
Yeah, they're doing a service
they're
for
doing a
us.
service to
Okay.
us.
And then your sewer connections, I didn't make any suggestion because they're pretty hefty.
I
Yeah,
think we leave that what it is.
Okay. Rezoning, we currently charge $150 or a special P and Z, I'm just recommending that you leave it.
yeah.
Plat review for a minor subdivision, which is, under 3, obviously 2 or less lots. Right now you have nothing, and that stuff takes a lot, not let alone what you're getting charged by the engineers.
That looks good.
And then, plat review for major subdivisions,
That looks good.
Let's leave that.
a variance request. I think $100 is ridiculous, but that's just my opinion compared to where I've worked.
What do you need?
$100, anybody will pay, you already, well, I don't care, I'll pay $100.
We just had one.
So you're saying.
So they might, I'm not saying variances shouldn't be issued, but there should be a little bit more legitimacy to issuing a variance, and for somebody to pay $200 might give that.
What about if somebody requests a variance and it doesn't get approved? Do they still, are they out the $200?
Yes, you do not
Because
ever
you're
get
pulling that-
anything refunded.
The Board of Adjustments or whatever.
Well, and it's not just that, there's publications, there's review by engineers, there's sometimes review by attorney.
It'd probably have to, yeah, that's fine.
It's a lot involved.
Sorry, dance hall, I put you on, you're currently at 0, and I don't know, maybe you leave it 0, I don't care what you do, it's just a suggestion.
What do you mean, like they'd have to pay that monthly?
No,
Year.
no, annually,
Dance hall permit is annually.
Annually?
I don't know, 2 years, I don't know. That's up to you guys.
25 cents.
Okay. Per year? Golf cart, ATV, right now you charge nothing, other cities charge.
Where's that at?
The next page.
You guys had that big discussion already.
Yeah, we kept it at 0 back then. That was your guys' thing for it.
Did the state come out and said you can't charge when you're,
Yeah,
That's where we got into an issue.
and I think we keep that at 0.
I
I
think
think
so.
state says you can't do it, I thought.
I don't think you can for ATVs because you pay, don't you register those
Rebecca,
with
you were on
the,
council for that when we changed it
Don't
back
they
to 0,
regis-
weren't you? It was because the state said
Wasn't
you can't
charging.
charge.
Right.
I-
Keep
I-
it, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a reason for that.
There's a lot of people that,
peddlers applications. Is it worth moving up? I don't know.
I think so. You want
I don't know,
to buy $5?
I just think this gets broke all the time.
It's broke?
What is that? People.
Like a business
calling.
walks around and just walks door to door, like how as a resident, do I know if the guy walking
You
up?
ask them, do you have your peddler's permit? I wanna see it. Or you call City Hall.
I shoo them away as fast as I can.
Yeah, I basically just say I'm not interested, is what.
No, you should ask, or you should call City Hall and say, did this company get a peddler's permit, once you shoo them away?
I bet 95% of people don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think they do either.
Well, maybe we should post that or something we should be advertising.
Peddlers for it.
You see a non-local business in town asking if they have a peddler's.
I guess we can skip Castic Park because you guys have already reviewed those fees. Sale of an alley. You currently, I didn't check on these with the other cities. It just can get too complicated. You either set a fee or you don't, you leave it the way it is or change it.
that doesn't happen very often, I just leave it the way it is.
Okay,
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
okay. Okay, there you go. How about sale or purchase of any property? If the city's gonna sell property at the current appraised value? I mean, and I only put this on because you were talking about buying a building and then I heard council members say, well, we can always sell it in the future. So,
It should be current appraised value.
okay.
Yeah.
And then copies, I personally don't ever wanna do copies for people, I always send them to the library. So I put these fees, the suggested ones are more expensive than the library because I would just prefer people go to the library.
Do you get a lot of people come in and ask for it?
Occasionally.
Yeah, that's fine, what you have.
And then you really don't have any of these rates, like service provided by city staff. That doesn't just mean me. Or public works equipment.
I don't think we run out of public works equipment ever.
No.
No, but if you have to go and use a piece of equipment to abate a nuisance, you're gonna charge what, I would recommend that you charge based on what the DOT sets. They have a schedule that they put out every year for equipment.
I'll
Instead of-
agree to everything you said on that.
What, on all the rest of it, or are we just
Yeah.
talking about that item?
All the rest of it. 'Cause it's
Good,
hardly any of it,
That's good.
yeah.
Plus, I haven't had supper yet.
okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Do you need a motion for this?
It's fine.
we trust you, Shelley.
What's his name?
Well, that-
All those in
Thank you.
favor of adjournment,
Famous last words.
anyone?
Until they don't, right?
She's gonna come back in the meeting to show this update, you know, speeds.
Yeah, but it's gotta be by,